You're listening to the Rocking Motherhood Show on Little Rockers Radio, and today we're back chatting to the editor of Mother and Baby magazine, Erin Mayo. Hi Erin, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I'm really well, thank you. Now, I love your current issue of Mother and Baby magazine. You've got Sophie Cachia, the young mummy, on the cover of this issue, breastfeeding her youngest, Florence. How has the cover with Sophie breastfeeding been received?
It's been fantastic, actually. We have just had so much positive feedback about it. It's really unusual to think that in 2017 this is a really controversial and eye-opening cover, I guess. We're not the first to do it. We'll admit that Alan has done it in the past, but we have actually gone out on newsstands and done this one. So this is the only cover that we have, and the feedback has been absolutely fantastic. And when we were actually sort of showing it around in the office, someone had said to us, why haven't we done this before? Yeah. And it's true, we are a parenting magazine. We talk about breastfeeding all the time, but for some reason, having it right on our cover has been one of those things that people have gone, oh, I don't know about that. Yeah. But it's received incredibly well. We're very, very proud of it.
Yeah, and so you should be. Was it a planned shot, or was it just that Sophie was breastfeeding and it looked like a perfect shot at the time?
Look, to be honest, it wasn't sort of planned. We know, obviously, that Sophie's quite open, having Snapchatted her labour and things like that in the past. So we were doing the shoot with her, and on the day I called Stylist and said, hey, listen, we know that Flossie's going to be feeding, obviously. Do you think that Sophie would be open to us doing a shot of her breastfeeding? And at that particular time, we had no intention on putting it on the cover.
Yep.
And then the images came in and I was just completely blown away, and I just thought that she looked so strong and empowered and confident that I was like, we really have to put this on the cover. And so we reached out to Sophie and said, what do you think? And she was 100% for it as well. So that's how it all came about.
Yeah, and well done to all of you. Now, I saw Sophie on the Daily Edition on 7 earlier this week, I think it was, and it still surprises me, as you said a couple of moments ago, it surprises me that in 2017 people can still find breastfeeding on a cover or anywhere publicly not really appropriate. The images go a long way to normalising breastfeeding, don't they?
It's nuts. It's not like, we were talking about this in the office too, saying, is it going to be perceived as a bit much? Can you see her breasts on the cover? And we kind of said, well, if we had a woman in a bikini on the cover, you'd actually see more.
Yes.
And why wouldn't we put it on? It's just such a natural thing. It is a little bit of it is a bit baffling to think that in this day and age, people are still so uptight and so stressed out about it.
Yeah, it's very baffling, isn't it? Like, it's very, very baffling. Now, with Sophie on the cover, I wanted to chat to you about social media and I guess the growth of parenting through social media. The landscape in which we parent has changed dramatically with the rise in social media. I think there's definitely the good, the bad and the ugly. And Sophie is definitely one mum who I think candidly shows all the honest sides of parenting. What are your thoughts and experiences? Obviously, having been in the parenting mummy space for a long time with Mother and Baby magazine, what are your thoughts and experiences on the effect social media has on parenting and more specifically being mum?
Yeah, definitely. I think it really has changed. And as you said, with Sophie in particular, she shows all sides of parenting, the good, the bad and the ugly, as you said. And there is a little bit of a movement to this imperfect parenting kind of style of things where, we all know it's not rainbows and lollipops all the time. So when you have that realism from some of these influencers like Sophie, who's, got a massive, massive following, it shows that you're not alone. Yes. It's that moment where your child's had the tantrum at the supermarket, or you've had one of those days where you've not got out of your pajamas yet and your husband's just come home and there's nothing for dinner and you're still in your PJs and you haven't moved off the couch all day. That's completely normal. And I think that when you are sharing those type of images, there's this real sort of bond towards women saying, you know what, it's not just me. I'm not doing a bad job. This happens to everybody. And I think that that's great. There's also this wonderful almost like a mums group and a community in some of these followings as well. There is the bad side, as you said, and a lot of the, Sophie's spoken about it herself where, she's been trolled. Yep. Or people, take it upon themselves to say you shouldn't be doing this or you shouldn't be doing that. So there is that aspect of it too. But I think overall there's a real community of, hey, mum, you've got this. We've all been there.
And I think, I'm going to sound archaic here, but when my son was first born, I wasn't on social media at all, but my stepsister and my sister-in-law were all pregnant at the same time, so we all had babies the same age. And it was nice to be able to call each other and say, oh, I was up all night last night, or this happened last night, and feel as if we're in the same boat. And that's kind of the same thing that social media brings to mums, especially the mums groups, you know, where you can be up in the middle of the night breastfeeding and flicking through articles and information and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just it. I mean, most of us, I remember when I was feeding my son, who's 4 now, you know, you'd be up in the middle of the night and you'd be on Facebook or, you know, Instagram at that time wasn't quite so big. So, but you would be checking out what everybody else is doing on Facebook and so forth. So, and there is also the fact that a lot of women these days are a little bit more isolated than perhaps they were before. Maybe they've gone back to work, so they're not involved in a mum's group. Maybe their friends don't have kids, so they're not in that same sort of situation where, you know, you can compare sleepless nights and things like that. So it also just opens up to a lot of women an ability to chat to other mums about how it's all going.
Yeah, completely. And don't compare, because a lot of the glamorous pictures that you see on Instagram and Facebook are not reality, and we know that as mums. I'm keen to know what your advice is to new mums. My advice is to everyone that I meet is just to drop your standards. Your house probably isn't going to be clean for the next 10 to 15 years. You're not going to go to the toilet by yourself for quite a while. So what's your advice to new mums?
Yeah, well, as you said, I was talking to a friend of mine who's pregnant for the first time the other day, and she's a little bit of an obsessive person, likes the house nice and tidy, and I just said to her, you can forget that.
Yep.
So I think there is that lowering of expectations. You know what? Things aren't going to be perfect. The house is going to be messy. You're going to be stepping on Lego until I think the kids are probably about 12, and even then it would just swap from Lego to something else. You know, I just think accept help when you are offered it.
Yes.
Don't think that you need to do it all on your own, and also don't try and be a super mum. No one is a super mum in the fact of no one gets everything done. Things do fall by the wayside. Hire a cleaner if you need to, or like, for example, myself, I'm a single mum. I hire a cleaner, and at the moment I'm ordering in my meals, and it's just making life a lot easier. So that's the kind of thing, if you need to do that, just do it. Go with the flow.
Yeah, do what works for you. I only clean once a week, so if someone comes to our house on a Friday afternoon, it looks like a bomb's hit it. But if they were to come on a Saturday afternoon, it would be beautiful.
And it's great, though, because if it's your friends who also have kids, they completely understand and they don't care.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, as I said at the beginning, this issue of Mother and Baby magazine is an absolute cracker. It's got Sophie Cachia on the cover. It's also got some sleep special information in it. It's got some info on Bub's first 6 weeks and some tips on how to tame toddler tantrums, if that's even possible. Can we even tame our toddlers? All the links are on our website at www.littlerockersradio.com.au. Thanks so much for joining us today, Erin.
Thank you so much, Sarah. It was a pleasure.
That was Erin Mayo, editor of Mother and Baby magazine on Little Rockers Radio. Thanks for listening.